is MYLYNH. And this is Erin. Hi, my name is Kristen, and on this channel, we talk about long-distance relationships. And on today's episode, we are going to discuss culture. We are going to call MYLYNH, and she's going to take us through some of the ins and outs of having a relationship with someone from a different culture. And not only that, also dealing with the distance. Come on, let's go give her a call.
Hello? Hello?
It's Kristen Cares calling.
Hi, Kristen. It's MYLYNH. How are you?
Hi, My. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for reaching out. I'm really excited to talk about my relationship and I guess multicultural aspect as well.
Let's start you off with our first question. Can you tell us your name, your age, which country you're from, or which country you guys started out with, and then which country you guys separated in during LDR, and then some fun facts about you and Erin.
So yeah, my name is MYLYNH and I am currently 25 years old. So I was born and raised in Canada. I speak Vietnamese. My family's from Vietnam. And then my boyfriend, I've been dating with him about 3.5 years now. We've been in long distance for probably 3 years. A little bit about him is he's 26. He's currently in the States, in Minnesota. But a little background story for him is he was born in India, the southern region, so Kerala. He speaks Malayalam, and then he moved to the States when he was young, went to school there, and then he came to Canada for high school and university, and then that's when I met him in Toronto in 2017.
Oh, so that's how you guys met in college.
Yeah, actually we met through a mutual friend. So my mutual friend was gonna go away, like really far away for work, so we decided to like just have a party or get together. And then we contacted Erin last minute, asked him to come, and then I met him that night. But we didn't really talk that night, but I guess he messaged me and we started talking, and now here we are.
Okay, so tell us more about how you guys met, actually.
Yeah, okay, so well, actually, so we met in 2017, but I'll talk like really briefly. Like I'm surprised I didn't meet him earlier, because just a background story. So I live in Brampton, Ontario. So Brampton, the city itself, majority of the population are Indian. And so like in my middle school, high school, I usually was the only Asian girl, or maybe there'll be like one or two other, but I was surrounded by Indian people. And even my closest friends their majority are Indian. So I'm not surprised that I'm dating an Indian
Yeah.
as well. But yeah, like since he went to school in Brampton as well, we have a lot of mutual friends. We just didn't meet until 2017. And I guess like a cultural part or something like unique was, although I live in Brampton and like majority of the population is Indian, I actually went to Vietnamese school every Saturday at his high school. And then, so that's one thing. And then something else is, I went to like this like cultural show. It's a big event that a lot of university students go to, and it's a dance competition, but it's like for Indian dance, like Bhangra and all that stuff. And I went in 2014. Yeah, and you dress up in like suits and like Indian suits. And I actually have some I can show you later, just to like.
Yeah, show us.
I'm actually so extra. But yeah, like in 2014, I went to that event, my first and only time, because I didn't really understand the language or the music. But yeah, it's like a big banquet hall, dinner, everyone's dressed up, there's like dances, and he was there as well in 2014. But we didn't meet, so yeah, those were just like moments that I'm surprised we never met earlier. But yeah, how we met was he just messaged me, and then I was like, yeah, okay, like thanks for checking if we got home. And then I mean, we talked like a little bit here and there, and I didn't really talk to him for like a week after that. And then I don't know, he was just like really nice. Like he was so nice. He wasn't hitting on me or anything. And I guess like we just started hanging out a lot. Like it was a summertime, so I would see him like every week. And then I started thinking like, okay, if I'm hanging out with this guy a lot, like does that would that lead to like one thing or another? Just because I've never dated, he's like my first boyfriend as well.
Oh,
So, yeah, and then I think within a month, that for like from him meeting me, he definitely was like in love, and he asked me out. He asked me out, but I never dated, so I literally said like I don't know, like I need to think about it. That's pretty dry,
Mhm.
but I think that was the first weekend he went back home to like his parents are living in Minnesota, so that
Mhm.
weekend I guess like the distance, like distance makes your heart grow fonder.
Oh, how long was he away for?
He was only away for the weekend, but then that was enough to make me like think and like, okay, I think I really like him as well. So then that weekend that he left, I guess that was like the beginning of our long distance, like slowly, gradually. I said, okay, let's date.
Like, how did he? Well, I guess he would be kind of more Americanized now, but did he like court you in a way that is kind of like similar to how the Indian culture would date a woman, or is it just really like westernized now?
Yeah, it's definitely westernized. I mean, he's very he's really religious. He's like Christian, and his values are very strong, and like they're very like he has a lot of morals and everything. But in terms of how he like approached me, it was like super respectful. He wasn't hitting on me or like saying like absurd comments. So I guess
Yeah.
that like I like fell for the sweetness part, and then I trapped myself, and then without realizing. So yeah, it was definitely more Western. There wasn't anything like he brought me like Indian sweets or anything like that.
Right. What about your parents being like Vietnamese? Did they have any preconceived notions with a different culture being a boyfriend of yours, or was that ever like a hindrance to you guys?
Yeah, so like I think like a barrier or an obstacle when it comes to like dating someone that's a different religion or culture. I'm lucky that my parents are more relaxed. At first they said like, like finish your studies. I think with any Asian immigrant, like his parents are immigrants, my parents are immigrants, they have that mentality of like, okay, academic first, like priority is getting a good job, becoming a doctor, right?
Yeah.
And then relationships are nice to have. So definitely my parents were like, if you can, like definitely find someone that's Vietnamese. But I told them like we're living in Brampton, there's no Vietnamese person in sight. Like I met probably one from my school, but I don't view him as like that, if like romantically.
Yeah.
But they've met him and a couple of times, and yeah, like I think the language barrier is definitely something that is I was worried about because my parents, they like to like keep to themselves. They know how to speak English, but it's just like what do they talk about? I mean, it's already hard for me to talk about like meaningful conversations with my parents. What are they going to talk to about to this like random dude who's like a
Yeah.
different culture, religion,
I know.
everything? It's so awkward. But what was really cute is like a really wholesome story, I guess, is my dad like loves ping pong. Like he can play it every day, all day. And he's really good, right? I don't know if he's good because he just makes like exaggerated noises, but and my boyfriend can play too, but I don't know if he's not as good as my dad. But my dad, I was working one day and my boyfriend came to visit, but I was working. So then my dad just like messaged him or told him like, "Okay, you're coming with me," out of
Well,
nowhere. He just took him. He just took him to my uncle's house, and then it was like my aunt, my dad, my uncle playing ping pong with my boyfriend, and like thank God my
you
boyfriend
weren't
doesn't
there. You
talk.
weren't there.
Yeah, I
You
wasn't there,
weren't
but I
there.
came later. So I guess it's uh like to see if he's worth it. But it's really cute
Oh.
like that they can play ping pong with each other. So yeah, despite the language barrier, I think like you can still bond through like food or just like spending time with them, eating, and then playing ping pong, I guess, or doing like those kind of activities that doesn't require talking.
That's good. At least they found like a way to kind of get to know him without having to have deep conversations, because that's always like kind of the struggle. I also was able to date someone that was a different culture, like my very first boyfriend in
Hmm.
high school. He was Mexican. And so whenever I go visit his family, they'd speak
Yeah,
Spanish. So it's kind of hard for me to understand the jokes. Like they'd say it and then I'll
yeah.
kind of wait for a little bit and then he'll explain it to me and then I'll go, "Oh, ha ha ha," after everyone's done laughing. So it's kind of hard in a way, but I guess that's a neat tip, like for those of you out there who are watching and let's say you met someone with a different culture or that came from a different country, doing activities together, eating different kinds of foods together would be like such a great way to get to know the person and to kind of
Yeah.
introduce them. ease them into your family. What
Mhm.
about you? Did you have any trouble with getting to know his Indian parents?
That's a good question. So I guess with dating long distance and being in a multicultural relationship, one thing is I think when it comes to any kind of big milestones, it's postponed, right? So I haven't had the chance to meet his family yet, simply because they're in the States, and they don't really come visit Canada anymore because he's not here. So I was supposed to meet them maybe I think a year ago, but then his dad had work, so that didn't work out. And we already have like limited time with each other, right? So I think when it comes to long distance, you have to be like super patient, and then like delay all these like moments where you can bond with them. But yeah, I think in terms of because I did grow up in Brampton essentially, and I have a lot of friends who are from the same background or similar experience, that I've seen what it's like for them. Just being their friend. Like they're like very limited to certain things. They can't go out as often. They have like really strict mom and dad, or they have to do like certain things. So when I did start dating Aaron, it wasn't like a big surprise to me, right? Because I've been exposed to like how extended families are, like if there's drama or like what kind of like cultural norms. It's not and then so that really prepped me. It wasn't like much of a culture shock. But yeah, I definitely am excited to meet his family one day, and I'm definitely nervous because of like maybe the language barrier, maybe like the jokes. What do I talk
Yeah.
about? Like the food. I think the food should be fine, but with any, I think for couples out there, I think it just takes time to like build those kind of relationships and have those meaningful experiences. It just kind of comes with time.
Yeah, so for you, you were never able to meet them in person. Have you been able to have like a video call or like a video chat with them, or were they able to see you online and like kind of get to know you in a way that way, like virtually?
Not yet, because even for my boyfriend, he doesn't really video call them. Like he talks to them more on the phone. So because of that, I think it'll be more um like respectful or more personal when we do meet in person, and just like having a proper conversation and like sit down and really, I think that's more of like a respectful way, instead of like, hey, like let's just talk on the phone really casually, like who is this, like who is she, like what are you doing, right? I think that's the part where his family's more like not strict, but you just want to have that good first impression, versus like virtually, it's really hard. And because they don't video call um, Aaron that often either, I think it's like out of the norm, right? But yeah, I know like with the pandemic stuff, eventually I'll meet them. So it's just I'm looking forward to like meeting them in person and then having that physical interaction.
I know it gets nerve-wracking when you're waiting and anticipating to meet the parents because, like, oh, what are they gonna say? Like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm not sure if they'll like me. Those kinds
I'm
of
so
things.
nervous.
Yeah, I would be too. Like, am I wearing the right clothes? Am I, you know what I mean? Like, those kinds of things, especially when you don't know what they expect of you, because of course a Western culture versus Eastern culture or whatever other cultures out there, they have some expectations, of course, when their son or daughter is dating somebody, and like
Mhm.
not knowing that prior to meeting them is kind of a little scary. So moving on, I don't know if this will apply to you guys, but I do know that in the Indian culture they have what you call is like arranged marriage, or like they
Mhm.
arrange the meetup of their children, and then that's how they get started to dating and to getting married. Do you have you ever encountered that, or is that like a struggle for you guys? Because I do know that there are couples out there that are
Mhm.
struggling with that because their parents want them to marry somebody else, but sadly they like somebody else or that they love
Yeah,
somebody else.
that's a very tough situation, because you're trying to like please your parents and you really want them to be happy, but then it's like you're sacrificing your own happiness. It's definitely a lot to handle, and that I luckily don't have to go through that. But yeah, like for Aaron's side of the family, a lot of them, I think majority of the cousins or extended family were arranged marriage. including his parents, while my mom and dad married out of love. So it's like very different. And so I think that's why I'm able to have that flexibility of like meeting someone that I really like and then pursuing that, but preferably obviously want someone Vietnamese. That's what happening.
Yeah.
There. Unless I go to Vietnam, no thank you. I like to stay in Canada.
If you're from like the Asian or Eastern culture, there is that kind of not requirement, but there is that expectation that you should marry somebody from the same either country or culture or religion
Mhm.
because they don't want you mingling with other cultures and
No,
things.
for
So
sure.
we still feel that now, even in our generation. Like you still go through all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think like with the future generations, there'll be more like hybrid and mixed couples and like mixed kids, and even with a different background and all that, right? Because like a majority of Aaron's family are like arranged marriage. It's like not only are we not arranged, we're also different religion, different culture, like Asian and Indian together, very different. Also, my family, we don't have anyone that's dating an Indian, or I think majority of them are dating Vietnamese. So it's like so many factors that are different within my family and his family. So I know for sure there's going to be like backlash or like comments or like concerns. Definitely for future me to worry about, but it's a reality, right? And
Mhm.
um, like there's not many other couples that I know that I'm close with that are also dating outside of their race or who are already successfully married, to for me to like go to them for that like support emotionally and just like general advice. But I guess like for any couples out there that are like going through the same thing, or you know who know people who are experiencing that, what is like hopeful for us is that at the end of the day, like at the end of the day, it's like what works for our own relationship. And because other people are not in a similar experience, their advice would not be as like strong and powerful because they're just not in a similar situation. They wouldn't know what would work best for you and your partner, and combining two different culture, religion, and all that as well.
So, like, I know some people are gonna want to ask, but what are some of the things that help you go through all these, like, foreseen struggles or current struggles? Can you give us or the viewers some tips? Because I know they're gonna want to hear from someone who actually is experiencing this real time.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very good question, and also want to know your advice too. But for me, despite the distance, you can always have these kind of conversations with your partner because your partner is the one who is like the representative of their family and what they would say, but also just to like reassure you as well. So asking questions. I think what's helpful for us, like my relationship, was just having those conversations about our like differences in religion, differences in culture. Like, hey, like what are some things that were unacceptable in your family, or like what are your values, what are your family values, like what are um, things that are like our cultural norms, right? That maybe in my family or my culture is nothing, but to his family it could be like super disrespectful, right? So just having those conversations and like learning more about his religion, having those conversations to like learn about their culture, what is acceptable, isn't acceptable, and then yeah, just asking your partner. I think that's helpful because every family is like very specific, they have their own rules, and then just so you're like prepared ahead of time, not surprised.
Right. Yeah, I would actually say the same thing because well, I dated like different race and culture basically, but what I learned
Mhm.
was just having the maturity to sit down and list down the things to each other maturely and openly about what
Mhm.
are expected and not expected because if you don't know right off the bat and then you just head on straight like go to this relationship without even preparing, it's gonna be hard. So I think
Yeah.
it's about openness at the end of the day, and even like having support from the LDR community. Like you said, you
Yeah.
we don't always get people or mentors or someone to help us or give us advices. And where else can you look? Sometimes even if you search online, it's hard to look for answers for some of the LDR questions that we have. Like me personally,
Mhm.
I look up some questions. Sometimes I don't get an answer, and
Yeah.
like for us specifically in the LDR community, especially with Instagram and the blogs that are out there, that helped me too, like find people who are going to be supportive with what's going on and what's happening in
Mhm.
our lives. And like, I'm just
Mhm.
thankful that there are people, even if it's not a lot, that there are
Yeah.
people and there are spaces and places that we can go to and ask. So before we move on to the next question, I want to see, or we want to see that little like outfit that you have prepared.
I think they're called like Indian suits. Saris are the ones where you have like the scarf, or I'm not saying correctly. You wrap it around your body. Well, this one's already like a suit. You just wear it like a top and a bottom. So I went thrifting, and then I love thrifting, and I just found them, and it was only like $15. But I don't know what the proper occasions are, but I just have them because they're so pretty, and it was like pretty good price. Okay, so I have two. Okay, this one's an orange one. I haven't worn them yet. I just have them because I'm like, maybe my friends will invite me to something and then maybe I'll look cute, whatever. And
Yeah.
then it's like this is like the top part.
Oh, oh, that's nice.
And yeah, it's like I don't know, the bottom piece. Just like that.
Right, is it like a long skirt?
Yeah.
Mm.
That one. This
Model,
one.
model it.
Yeah. So
Oh, you
I
have
have to
another
take a picture.
color.
Yeah, I have to just take a picture, send it to my boyfriend to like so he can fall in love with me again. But
Yeah.
it's a fun.
Oh, that is. Oh, look at the intricate designs up front.
Yeah, it was like
Isn't
$15
that
at the
crazy?
thrift store. I'm so
What?
confused. Like they look so expensive. I mean, I just have them in my closet.
Yeah. So
I don't
if
know.
you are an Indian and you know what they are called, leave in the comments below because we would, Maya and I would love to know what they're called and what they're for. And we'd love
Please
to be
educate
educated
me.
and enlightened about those dresses that she has. So if you know what those are, comment
Yeah, tell
below.
me when are the best times to wear them? Like if it's a serious, or is it weddings, or is it just like casual? If anything, I could just take photos and that's it.
All right, so we're gonna move on to our next question. What were the biggest, or what is the biggest struggle that you guys encountered being like a different culture?
I think it's probably 100% the language barrier because I think what resonates with me the most or is most important in my life is my family. And if like I can become close with his family and if he can get really close with my family, I think that like means the world to me. And I think it's so hard when you just don't have the vocabulary or like the way to communicate with them, and just like have those deep conversations, right? So I think the language barrier is probably the biggest struggle. And I know like you can still, like we said in the beginning, like you can still bond with them through other ways, but I think it's just like to have those 1 hour conversations or like real life talks. I think that's really hard with the language
Mm-hmm.
barrier. But yeah, I think that's probably the biggest struggle. And then just like the future, if you have kids, like what's gonna happen? Like how are you gonna raise them? How are you gonna teach them all the different like languages and like cultural norms, right? So I think that's for my
Yeah,
struggles.
that's still for the future, maybe season 50 of this show. We're gonna ask her how that went down.
Yeah, I would love to like if you have one episode on that in the future, that'd be so helpful for people to like what worked for them, the resources that they use. It's definitely something that
Yes,
would be.
definitely. If we can continue this show, you guys keep on watching so that we can interview them again and have them back here and tell us the updates in their LDR story. So, being language barrier as like the biggest struggle, is there any like ways that you or Aaron tried to kind of bridge the gap?
I think what helps is trying to immerse yourself in the different cultures. So how I did that was like attending like cultural events, right? Or like trying on the clothes or trying the different foods because you do really bond with people like through eating and like food. You don't have to talk when you're eating, right? It's just like a appreciate the food exactly. And then how you can do that also is like going on YouTube and just learning about cultural norms or mannerism within that culture, right? I think there's so many helpful videos, and then from people who are experts in that religion or different culture can teach you that you might not even be aware of. Like for example, in our Asian culture, putting chopsticks like straight up, it looks like the praying scent, the scent prayer,
Incense? Yeah.
incense, yeah, right. And then that is like disrespectful if you have it like straight up. So you have to like put the chopsticks down in your bowl of rice. So things like that, like you were just paying attention. Like in Asian culture, you shouldn't have like your shoes in the house. You shouldn't be wearing them, or like you should greet the elders. So yeah, definitely like using YouTube or talking to other people who are in that same culture or same race, and then just having that safe space, someone who you feel comfortable with, just asking all those like hard questions or that you're curious about, so you don't come off as like disrespectful when you do meet other people who you might not know of. Yeah, that's I think that's what's really helpful to like help tackle the language barrier, but learn more and educate yourself.
Yeah, that's a good takeaway from what you have said. Like, educate yourself. I think that's really going to be able to help people there who are not, maybe, let's say they're not in their LDRs, maybe they're just in a multicultural relationship, and
Mhm.
educating themselves would really be helpful. And even more so with the distance, how are you going to be able to learn that while you're apart from each other? And I think that's what's special with LDR, because you do have that time for yourself to kind of better who you are. And so when you guys do meet, it's like, okay, I'm ready. I'm prepared. I can do this.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and I think what for LDR specifically, um, just keeping your partner in the loop as much as you can. So like when I am like trying when I'm eating like Vietnamese specialty dishes, I just like take a picture. I'll like tell him a little bit about it. He even like knows some Vietnamese words for certain foods. And like
Ooh.
he's tried like fish sauce, he's tried durian, and all those like really like strong, powerful older food. And then I also tried to like learn words from his language, but it's like a lot more complicated for some reason. But yeah, like just keeping your partner in the loop, telling them as much as you can, or like do pictures, do video, or like sending cool videos from your culture. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's like a cool way to like bond and become closer with your partner. How about what do you think? What do you think are some tools or things to help long distance couples or people that are also dating multiculturally?
I feel like they should download apps that have like translators. Like, you know, one of those apps where you can translate the phrases and things that people say, and then you'll be
Oh
able to
yeah.
kind of learn from there. So I think that's really, really helpful for people dating multicultural languages.
Hmm.
I encountered a couple, and they both can't speak the same language
Oh wow.
in their LDR. So what they do
Wow.
is they use like Google Translate, and like they translate everything, and that's how they communicate. But like, think about that. Those kinds of people, they make it work. Like, they make it
Mm.
work. But they find ways. And with our technology, I feel like our way of loving has evolved a lot, because we have these
Hmm.
tools that we can use, and people need to maximize that. I feel like if they can able to pull up an app or pull up a website or anything that could help them basically maneuver the language barrier and everything that they can use to connect. I think that's really, really nice in terms of our culture, of course, and our current generation. But before, you probably won't be able to do that. But if
Hmm.
right now you're in that situation, I feel like you can definitely use those tools. And speaking of Vietnamese food, I love pho. Like my mind just gets blown
I
away
love
by pho and the egg roll. What do you what's the name for the egg rolls with the noodles?
like spring rolls or like
Mm-hmm.
the
Like the fried one.
the chai yaw.
Jayo?
Yeah.
Jayo. Ooh, okay, I learned something. Jayo.
Cool. Teach
So
me some
I
of your language.
okay, egg rolls are called lumpia.
Lumpia?
Lumpia. Yes. So in Filipino it's Lumpia. Lumpia.
Lumpia.
Yes. So if you want egg rolls, just in a Filipino household, just be like, can I have lumpia?
Lumpia? Okay, I'm doing that.
Then I'm
That's
gonna
pretty
ask for
awesome.
was it jayo?
Jayaw, yeah.
Jayo.
We always have jayaw at every like get together for Vietnamese like
Same.
families. Yeah,
Yeah,
every time.
it's the same. I can't wait. Maybe Maya and I can meet someday, because I'm also in Canada. She's in Canada. And who
That's
knows,
crazy.
maybe one day we can meet up and actually be in the same screen.
I'm gonna do an update on my hybrid kids.
Yeah. I'll be like the cool aunt. Hey kids,
Yes, and you can feed
I
them
was here
lumpia.
before you were here. The last bit of the question is can you give us some tips or encouragement or words of inspiration for the people out there that are asking or needing some advice and help in their LDR slash multicultural relationship?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I created my Instagram at the peak of the pandemic during March. I just sat there. I'm like, okay, I'm too sad. Like I'm so sad all the time or lonely. I just created my Instagram account, and I've met like Kristen, and then I met like all these other bloggers and people who are in long distance relationships who have like a lot more obstacles, but just it's just so nice to have people like who you can relate with. So if you're in any kind of community, if you just put it out there, like be a little vulnerable, you'll be surprised by the support that you'll get. So that's like definitely number one. And yeah, if you check out all our resources, we definitely try our best to create like, useful LDR articles, self-care, relationship advice, gift ideas. So definitely check out Kristen's videos and like all of them. Yeah, I think what you brought up earlier is just that I think we're automatically very open. You have to have an open mindset. There's no way you'll survive or you wouldn't thrive just because you need to be open. You're in a relationship where there's a lot of differences between you and your partner. They come from a different background, different upbringing. There's so many things from like food, culture, values that will differ a lot. So that will cause a lot of conflict unless you're super open and you really try your best to be understanding and understand where they're coming from and like asking questions, being curious, understanding why you're getting triggered, and then working together. And I think the beauty of it is if you're in a multicultural relationship is that you get to pick and choose what works best for your own relationship, right? You get to choose like, okay, like these values or these practices will work and I really resonate with that, like let's do that. Like my boyfriend is Christian and I'm Buddhist, but I would love to learn more about like his Christianity side. It's definitely a huge part in his life, but I haven't had the chance to like ask him a lot of questions or like learn about it through his family or like go to church with them, right? And I'm like super excited. So it's just like new experiences that you're lucky that you get to experience that not other couples will get to experience. So yeah, being open minded, being motivated, and just being patient with the whole process. And yeah, it just takes time. It really takes time.
Wow, I think that's really beautiful how you said that you should be open to their beliefs because usually that's like a deal breaker in some couples
Mhm.
and they just go, oh, we're not the same in that sense. It's not going to work. But how you mentioned that you should just be willing to learn, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
even if it's not your actual faith or religion, like you're just willing to learn about it. All right, so in that note, please tell our viewers how they can follow you so that they can look up your blogs and the articles that you have prepared specifically for long distance relationships and how you're able to help them through that. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. So you can go to my website, advicewithmy.com. I have a lot of long distance articles and infographics just to help other couples that are going through the same thing. As of right now, because of the pandemic and everything, I just wanted to inspire more hope and inspiration. So I've been trying to collect a lot of relationship stories of successful LDR stories, and there's a bunch of them on my website if you want to read and like support those who are in long distance. And then you follow my Instagram called My Long Distance, and that's where I have more pictures of my boyfriend and I, any cute things that we've done, stuff about just to provide hope. I think it's very hard. It's a very lonely journey, but I'm just so happy that I can, use my own experience and like portray it in like a teachable moment or memory for others that it's actually helpful and sparking those conversations. And yeah, I think so. Yeah, follow me if you like.
Yes, please follow my. I'm gonna leave all her social media links down below so you can just click on it and easy for you to go to. She writes amazing articles. If you are in a LDR and it's currently going really, really well and you want your story to be shared, let her know and submit that on her link tree, a link on her Instagram because she has that ready right on her bio and make sure to follow her.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so great. I'm so excited. I really hope one day I can visit you and enjoy the circles together. Definitely, if anyone else has any other comments or multicultural couple resources, I think definitely let us know in the comments below because I would want to learn helpful resources as well. You can always improve in your relationship. So yeah.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, we're not just putting out this show because we consider ourselves masters. we're putting out this show because we want to enlighten people, give people hope, and also learn from each other. So it's not just from us, it's actually a collaboration from the community. So if you're someone who knows some tools and things that we can look up and things that we can read, we'd definitely love to see those and let us know. Let us know. We'd love to have it. And again, Mai, thank you so much for being on this show. Kristen Cares Calling. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And as always, I will see you later.
If you're someone with a long distance relationship with another who's from a different culture or a different country, I hope this video gave you some value. And if it did, consider subscribing to the channel and hit that bell for more long distance relationship topics. On our next episode, we are gonna call a couple who's been in their LDR for the very first time. So if that sounds a lot like you, then stick around and I will see you over on that next episode. If you are in a long distance relationship, on our next episode, we are gonna call a couple who's been in the